If you had to choose between like keeping your stuff and having no one come stay with you ever, or like making a little space within the stuff and being able to have people come stay with you, which one of those options sounds better?
Don't tempt me with a good time there. No, keeping my stuff and no one has to visit me?
Well, what would be the impact? Like, would it damage any of your relationships?
They've pretty much said that I need to find a way to integrate with the family again.
Yeah, they've really got you in a corner, don't they? Yeah.
How to be patient.
Welcome back to How to Be Patient. Today we have a Margaret-led episode, which I'm excited to passenger princess for. But I, your faithful captain, will be doing the introduction. Today we have Amanda Stuckey Dodson, who is our lovely social worker, therapist, and author today, who recently wrote a book that is coming out soon on November 11th, Tidying the Abyss, a practical guide to cleaning and organizing while exhausted and overwhelmed. Now, I've never been exhausted or overwhelmed. So do you have any practical guides to cleaning when you're in a perfect state of health?
Or for his burnout episode?
Obviously, we kid around here. We're residents, but we're cool residents, and we're here to have a good, fun time and talk to you, Amanda, about what it is you do. So thank you for being here with us.
Thank you. Excited to talk to you guys.
We're going to do an icebreaker, as we tend to do with guests. But one part that we didn't mention, so you're a clinical social worker, but a big part of your work over the last few years and this book has been being a life skills specialist. Before we go into the question, which will build a little bit on this, do you want to describe what your work is like now or in the last year? I'm sure right now there's lots of book promo things, but how do you define the work you do now with clients?
Yeah, so it's hard to define life skills specialist because it's a title that I made up for myself. So I'm just going to
I love creativity.
describe like the job. Yeah, the job that I've kind of fallen into and made for myself. But basically, I work with people one-on-one to help them solve their organizational problems, whether that is like home disorganization or just sort of general life not togetherness. Because I have a background as a therapist, I attract a lot of clients who have like interfering mental health conditions or interfering chronic illness conditions that make the organization piece really, really difficult. So essentially, I'm like a supportive presence in people's lives to help them feel like they have it together just a little bit more. I have in the past done some in-home organization, but by and large, I mostly now do education and I do one-on-one support with people.
So how would you differ from a life coach? Because I think that was
coming in
the
hot
initial
right
thing
away.
I saw when I just saw like life skills specialist.
Yeah. Well, like as a therapist, the term life coach like makes me like break out in hives.
Yeah, actually, I see the
like
hives
she in
now.
my
Sorry for
turtleneck.
inducing that. Yeah.
I'm like, oh God. Which is just like that's just a professional bias I have because there's lots of people out there doing really good kind of work. Life coaches, basically, their job is to help you sort of optimize your life goals and well-being. So they don't work with people on like they don't work with people on when things are bad. They work with people on when things are good, and they want things to be really, really good, and they want to like fulfill their purpose. I'm more like, you can't remember to take the trash out. What can we do about that? You haven't renewed your car insurance in like 6 years. Like, how do we do that? Like, I'm kind of like cleanup crew more than I am like life goals and thriving.
Yeah. And like, not to be tongue in cheek about the question, because I think a lot of life coaches, I don't know if they have a lot of credentials when they go into this kind of position. And I think there's a big spectrum of people that do life coaching. One thing I noticed about your book, just from the parts I was perusing, is that it almost seems like the next step beyond therapy. So like, it seems like you're applying a lot of CBT techniques to really granular, specific, like executive function tasks. So almost the thought that, or the name that was coming to mind for me was like pragmatic therapy or
Mhm.
something like that.
Ooh, that's good.
Yeah.
I like that.
You
Yeah,
know,
mine's
Put it on that
steal.
on the button.
dude, all yours. Yeah. Life
Yeah.
skills specialist and pragmatic therapist, pragmatist or something. It flows well.
Yeah. I think of what I do as like getting people to the place where they could actually engage in therapy, because all therapists know what it's like to have, and I'm sure, psychiatrists do too, know what it's like to have clients who do really want to be well and they want to get better, but they have all this stuff that's not even therapy related getting in the way. Like they can't remember appointments, they can't get themselves to places, they can't organize their time, they feel overwhelmed by tasks in which to prioritize. So I think of like, I'm like helping people just be able to like
Mhm.
get out the door to where they could actually like engage in the kind of therapy work that they need to do to be well.
So, related to this, our icebreaker for today is one life skill you find yourself most often bringing up in your work with clients or patients, or that you find, or the one that you find the most useful to be reminded of for yourself. So that's going to be our
Oh,
question. I can start because I'm putting people on the spot with these questions. I feel like with patients, I talk quite a bit about what mindfulness actually is. I'm ACT trained. Uh, and so I think I work with a lot of people with anxiety or eating disorders or OCD. And so one of the
That's
like
acceptance and commitment
concrete,
therapy for those who aren't familiar.
sorry guys, you guys know this. This is episode 43.
If you're just now joining us, ACT is acceptance and commitment.
Um, but I feel like the mindfulness of like what it actually is bleeds into all the other kind of things I'm trying to help them do with like distress tolerance or like just moving attention and some of the honestly like life skills part that comes up before anything else. Like if they're not taking the antidepressant that's going to really help the panic attacks stop, then it's hard to move in other directions or therapy wise. So I would say that's mine for patients. For me, um, you know this, like anyone who follows me on TikTok knows this. It's having a timer and being like, I have 20 minutes. I'm scared, but I'm going to do something and I'm going to have a Diet Coke during it. And then I'm going to be like, good job, girl, you did it. So I feel like the idea of avoidance and that it sucks and you got to keep going is the one I use for me.
yeah, that's such a good one. That's such a good one. I love the timer and like little treat methods.
Yeah.
She's got it right there.
It's always
It has
it's
entered
on,
the
it's
chat.
strapped on.
Yeah, just tape the carrot to your forehead. Like the donkey with the stick. Just wear the thing like a backpack.
Just wear it. Just who doesn't love a visual time timer?
See, it's cute too, which I also love.
Mhm.
I think probably, I mean, I'm ACT trained too. I love an ACT therapist.
Let's
I'm
go.
I know. I come from a real like DBT background too, dialectic
Mhm.
behavioral therapy. So all of these kind of like, for people listening, these are kind of like the newest waves of cognitive behavioral therapy that have come out in the last few years that have really strong mindfulness components. But so because of that, I feel like the life skill that I most often turn to, like you said, is the avoidance, and specifically in what DBT we'd kind of call like opposite action. Meaning, like, if there's something you're dreading and you're avoiding, one, to like, to just notice that you're avoiding it, to recognize that you're avoiding it, and not like make a whole thing out of that. Like, I think people can really get down into the weeds on like, why, why don't I want to do this thing? And why don't I feel avoidant? And like, why? When really we just need to like turn our attention away from like, what is wrong with me towards just like, what is wrong with this task? Like, why
Mhm.
don't I want to do it in a really simple way? Not like dwelling kind of on the self-diagnosis for a minute. Not that there's not time, like a moment for that, but to just be like, okay, I really don't want to do the dishes. Like,
Mhm.
why is it's because it's boring. I don't want to get up from I'm watching TV. I don't want to get up. I wish dishes didn't exist. Like
Mhm.
I wish I lived in a reality where this wasn't a thing that I had to do, but it is. So I think avoidance and exposure like goes through everything
Yes.
that I do, and just like tiny, tiny exposures to things that are scary. So basically exactly the same answer as you, Margaret.
I feel like I remember you talking about this. Like I had heard it. And one of the things I love about your TikTok content and missed you when you were on the break writing the book, understandably busy, was I think that you had talked about avoidance, but your content is so concrete, or it gives examples. Like I think it's easy for people to be like, avoidance, bad. But it's a whole other thing for them to be like, see your videos where you're like, I need to deal with this closet and I need to do this and I don't want to, but here's how I'm going to work through it and not overwhelm myself. And in the book,
Mhm.
I really like multiple points when you kind of talk about, I think sometimes like the philosophy behind what you're talking about in the rest of the book, which is like, what if we don't try to find some optimal version of you and continually set yourself up for failure, but instead, like you're saying, moving away from what's wrong with me and instead asking, is there any way to make this task more doable? And then to use skills to both do it and tolerate whatever is still unpleasant about it. Which is just a kinder, I think, approach for a lot of people when they're dealing with something they may feel a lot of shame about.
Yeah, and I think of it as really, pragmatic too, because it's really natural to, when you know that your life is like a mess and you
Mhm.
see that other people see that your life is a mess, it's really easy to just be really focused on like, why am I like this? What is wrong with me? And like, that you can find an answer to that, but the solution to what is wrong with me is like years down the road. It's like, yeah, I could probably fix this, but it's going to take like at least 6 months to a year and maybe multiple years to get to a place where like that isn't wrong with me anymore. But when you just look at the task in front of you, it's like you can usually do something just about one thing at a time. It's like kind of narrowing your vision a little bit to tackling problems one at a time rather than like the entire chaos of your life all at once.
I don't think I do that much life skills coaching on my patients. I was like trying to reflect on like what life skills I actually like really pin down with people. I'm like, I talk about cooking, I talk about exercise, but
Those
I
are life
think the only
skills.
one that I do consistently though is like navigation, like executive function and like moving around. So San Antonio has not that great of a public transport system, and it's very often that people will come to my clinic because they just moved from some podunk town and outside of Texas. And now they're here, and I'm like, what pharmacy is good for you? And they're like, I have no idea. And I'm like, let's Google where you live, and we'll try to find a bus route that's close to, like close enough to you. I'm like, what do you like better, Walmart, HEB? And they're like, oh, I love HEB. I'm like, okay, we're cooking now. You know what I mean? I'm like, okay, you're gonna take a left on this road here, and then go like due west. Or like, what am I, Lewis and Clark? I'm like, sorry, like towards the towards the
Exactly.
Walmart sign, and
Erasure.
then take a right at Target, and you'll be there. And they're like, okay, cool. You know, like I think that's the most pragmatic, like life skillsy stuff I do. And I guess it's opposite of avoidance because these are patients that are pretty motivated. A lot of times they're coming new to town, they're just trying to figure stuff out, but they're just need that like little bit of push with organization, but they're already rearing and ready to go. So I found that to be pretty rewarding, and it just feels like planning a trip. I don't know.
What about for you?
The life
We
skill
just
for
we just said
myself that
ours. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm always reflecting
what's
on.
what's
That I
yours?
honestly,
Where's your
it's
skill deficit?
probably it's cooking or meal prepping. I think that's the one I get
Really?
reminded of the most. Yeah, so I made butter chicken last night, and I was thinking a lot about it being a mindfulness exercise, which I don't know if the episode will be out by now, but we were um, just talking with another nutritional psychiatrist about kind of practical ways to overcome depression and cook and find meals and things like that. And we were talking about how cooking is one of those rare activities where you have to be in the moment while you're doing it, and it does encourage mindfulness. And I think that's like the best way that I will ever achieve mindfulness is when I don't know that I'm actually doing mindfulness. So cooking, exercising, improv is something I've been doing too recently, which is also a mindfulness exercise, and you have to be very present while you're doing it. So as long as it's just not labeled mindfulness, Preston will willingly participate in it. So I think that's, I guess, mindfulness and also meal preparation. The skills I think about for myself.
Cool.
Yeah. Um, We're going to take a quick break. And then when we get back, we're going to talk about your book, some of the kind of core pillars of it, as well as your story of transitioning your work, because I think we touched on a little bit already how existing in the system, helping people with mental health conditions versus like kind of being able to do some of these concrete steps that need to happen can be really fulfilling. So we will be right back. So we are going to talk about your book, Tidying the Abyss, which is out by the time this episode comes out. But what's the exact release date?
Yeah, November 11th.
Exciting.
Veterans
How do
Day.
you feel?
I know it is Veterans Day. I'm so I'm so excited and so curious. Like this is my first book. Every step of the process, I have not known what to expect the entire time. So speaking of like mindfulness exercises that you don't know that you're doing until you're actually doing them, I'm like in a forced mode of acceptance and openness because I I have no idea what to expect when the book comes out. If it's going to do well, if nothing's going to happen. So, but the process of writing it was really I don't know. I don't want to say life changing, but it did change my life in a lot of ways. So I'm very excited to like put a bow on that and have it out in the world.
Yeah. How long have you been working on the book for?
It's been about 3 years that I've been working on it, and it went like the other way around, where an agent found me through my work online and asked if I was interested in writing the book, which at first I was like, "This is fake for sure, scam." And then it wasn't, like, twist of fate. So I did a book proposal, then went through the process of querying publishers, and so it's been a good 3 years that I've been working on it or more, like, I feel like I've just, like time is a flat circle with book writing, like, I don't even remember a time when I, like, wasn't working on this.
This being has always been there in some form. um, what do you hope before we go into components of the book? Like, what do you, who do you, who did you imagine writing the book for?
It's a really good question. I think I imagined writing it for my clients, and I also imagined writing it for myself, and I imagined writing it for all the kind of loved ones in my life who just had had times like I've been this person too, who had times when they just, like, were a mess and just could not get it together. Like, we all know what
Yeah.
it is to be this person that just feels like you're, like, a leech on everyone around you, and we know what it's like to, like, have a loved one like this in our life where you're like, "Wow, things have really fallen apart for you, and, like, they're going really bad." So I was thinking of people, like, in that space when I was writing it and, like, thinking about what would I wanna hear at that time of my life. Because, like, a lot of the work that I'm doing now came out of a time like that in my life. So, I think that's who I had in mind.
I was gonna ask if you don't, I mean, I know it's in the book, but if you wouldn't mind sharing, I feel like that was one of the things we had someone who deals with chronic pain on for an episode last season. And I know one of the things that people experience in getting healthcare or getting services, getting mental health care when they have a chronic illness or chronic conditions that are, invisible, um, is kind of invalidation in many different forms. And I feel like you starting the book with your own story, your family, or kind of you as a couple's story of being very honest and being like, that's not me. I'm super organized. And then having experiences that made you empathize made it, I could imagine someone reading this and feeling like, okay, this is like safe for me to go forward and keep reading because this person understands. So, why did you share your story, I guess, in chapter one? And if you want to say a little bit more about you before and then you after, I feel like this is also tied in with how your work changed too.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I felt like I kinda have to tell the story of what happened to even
hmm
begin to explain how I would go from being like a like stone cold clinical social worker to having this like odd liminal career, which I really enjoy and love. But, you know, like pre-pandemic, I had been in the field for I graduated from my master's really young. That's like something
Mhm.
that's worth mentioning. I mean, I was out of grad school by the time I was 22. So,
Mm.
like they really like pipeline social workers to get out into the field really fast. And it's not that, I mean, that's just what's needed because they need workers. So by the time I was 30, I'd been working for a pretty long time and I was feeling pretty burned out. And then just like everything went wrong. Like my husband, right as he was about to defend his dissertation, got diagnosed with MS, which was like a really big shock. Like, and speaking of the medical system and not really knowing what was wrong, if anybody's known someone who's been diagnosed with MS, it's never like a sudden thing where like they're fine and suddenly they have MS. It's like they spend
Mhm.
like 5 years being like, I think something's wrong and like getting wronger and like really, really wrong until finally someone is like, oh, that's multiple sclerosis. So that launched me into life as a caregiver.
Mhm.
Though he still is able to work, which is awesome. Um, I it was necessary for me to do a lot to support his recovery.
Yeah.
So I was like burned out therapist. Now I have this big responsibility at home. And then I started to feel really, really sick as well. And it was like a real panic moment because I was like, he's sick. I can't be sick. Like
Right.
only one of us can be sick. um, and it was a real, I mean, it was like years and years of probably as many people have experienced, like trying to figure out what exactly was wrong. And when I was writing the book, I hadn't figured out what was wrong. I kind of didn't really know. I just, I'd go to a specialist and they diagnose me with something and send me to another specialist and they diagnose me with something else and I'd get treated and it would help kind of, but not really.
Mhm.
And this whole time, obviously I'm like a reasonable person, so it occurs to me like, is this a little psychosomatic? Like,
Hmm.
have I like just
Little
created an
internal
illness because
gaslighting
like
too.
Mhm.
I know. Well, I mean, it was like apropos of any better explanation from a medical
True.
professional. Like I had to consider that. But I just didn't really quite feel that out of touch with reality. I was like, "No, I think this
Mhm.
is real. I just don't know what it is."
Yeah.
So I really needed to take a break from being a therapist, and I really loved my clients. I just
Mhm.
physically, I was doing so badly. Like, I was not able to maintain wakefulness for the whole day. I would just, like, fall asleep. Lots of, like, passing out episodes, and I really hurt, like,
Yeah.
my whole body hurt, everything hurt. Just all the, like, vague complaints, so, but what I noticed is that I this was very weird, but, like, I felt a lot better when I was cleaning, and I don't know if it was just because I was, like, dissociating completely of like I'm just like totally disconnected from my body as I like scrub this bathtub. But I started to do it like as like a coping skill when I would feel really bad or I'd really be hurting. I'd be like, okay, let me get up and go find something to clean because for some reason I feel better when I'm doing this. And then it also when it was done, I was like, okay, well, I accomplished something concrete in the world, and that like made the day feel worthwhile. So that's kind of how I got down the like cleaning pipeline, where I just thought maybe I could just clean for people. And like one of my best friends told me, she was like, you know what I wish when I was depressed is that there's someone I could call to just like show up at my house and just like clean it up for me and like put me out on the porch with like a glass of water. And I was like, I'd
Mhm.
love to be that person. Like
Yeah.
I'd be good at that. and and that would be so much easier than like running a like 3-month DBT protocol with someone not knowing if it was going to work and that they'd actually feel better at the end of it. Like it would be feel more rewarding to just make someone feel better right now, like within the next hour, right? So that's how I got into this like cleaning and life skills kind of space. Then once I started, the coaching started, and it just kind of grew organically from there.
And what made you start posting on TikTok?
Um, my sister-in-law is in marketing. Imagine
It's a
marketing
marketing
is like all
girly.
bright,
Yeah.
shiny letters. And she suggested it, and I
Yeah,
was
yeah.
like, I don't think I want to do that." She was like, "No, it'll be good. Like, it'll help you get some customers." At that point, I was just thinking, I just want to clean people's houses who are like sad. That's all.
Uh-huh.
That was my only goal. Um, but so much came from TikTok. Like, that was a really good suggestion. Thanks, Rachel. You were correct.
I asked you this when I was messaging you earlier, and I'd asked you what topic you would like to talk about from the book. And one of the things you said, so let's do some concrete things and some existential things, which I enjoy that pairing always. Um,
Mhm.
I wrote down a couple I liked, but I'm curious, like, if there's ones in the book or chapters where you feel like, I think this chapter is, or this topic is really going to be helpful for people, or I've talked to so many clients about this specific strategy that I know that people should hear this. Does anything pop to mind with that question?
It's like choosing between all my children.
Children. um,
Pick one.
what are ways, I guess, actually, let's start here. What are ways, like, when you work with people now, I know you said teaching and then sometimes like virtual. We have a couple
Mhm.
fictional characters that we were going to have you coach in cleaning wise. So maybe we should just start there. And
Mm.
whatever comes up, we can pull back into like the more conceptual frame. But I feel like often our listeners like this better. And I always find learning that doing cases or doing like role playing, which we do often here as fictional characters, helps the most. So I have a character and Preston has one. Um, I'm a fictional character. I don't have a specific diagnosis, but I think you'll figure out pretty soon. But let's say I've hired you and you're coming to my home virtually for the first time, and I'll tell you about my problems. Are you down for that?
I love a staffing session. Like, yes,
Okay.
let's do it.
So we'll do like, I'll keep an eye on time. We'll do one for like 4 minutes and then we'll talk about what you recommended and what happened. So, listeners, this is also for you to be able to hear so that you can hear what it might sound like if you brought some of these concepts a little bit into sessions or just how people who do this work talk about it. Okay, I'm ready. So, we both log onto the Zoom. And Preston, feel free to chime in as Amanda's assistant during this at any point if you want to, and then we'll switch to you.
Happily.
Please.
Preston's a much better actor than I am, so excuse my poor acting skills, but hello.
Hi.
Well, I mean, look at it. You can see how this is. I have the dreariest home in all of the 100-acre wood.
Oh, so sad. Well,
Eh,
why don't
but I
you
thought you could help.
well, why don't you tell me what's yeah, I hope I can. Why don't you tell me what's giving you the most trouble organizationally?
Well, I'm tired all the time, and so I feel like I don't know where to start. My tail is always a mess, and so I feel like I can't go out and like go get water from the stream or hang out with the other animals. And I don't know where to start. Do I start with my home or with my tail, or do I start with all those things I'm behind on? And there's mold growing in my water bucket in my home. So I just don't know where to start. That's the whole problem.
So cute. So, a lot of times when everything just seems equally high priority, it can help to kind of zero in on the really, really basic things that are helping you get through the day. So I think of those as like sleep and food. So you said you're really tired.
Mhm.
Do you sleep? Are you getting any sleep? Like, what's your sleep wake schedule like?
Yeah. I mean, I sleep. I maybe sleep a little too much because I'm so tired. But I'm asleep at night, which I've been working on a little better. I think the big one is food because all my water bowl and hay bins are dirty, but they've built up, and now I'm disgusted when I even look at them.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Keep going.
So Eeyore, what I'd like us to do together is take the laptop out to your little water hay situation and start to see what it might feel like to clean up just a little bit of it together. Nope, we don't have to have pressure to do the whole thing. We can just go like investigate the situation and see what it would feel like to do just a little bit. Are we willing to try that?
I'm willing to try that. I'm just nervous it's going to be like make me sick because it's like like I haven't washed it in like 2
Yeah,
weeks.
totally. Do you have any do you have I'm thinking he's like has like his little donkey face. Do you have any like little surgical
Close.
masks? Anything that could go over your face? Anything that smells good in your house? Because
Well, yeah, I have a
that can really
candle
help
right
with
here.
this. Let's bring the
Okay,
candle,
well,
keep it
time.
right by your face. I
Okay,
was
first of all,
actually like
thank you for
a
rolling with it.
pretty good representation of what actually happens, no lie.
I figured. I figured. I went me and my mom. Shout out Sheila, who this is her favorite thing is my mom. Uh, she made me watch a lot of HGTV. But okay, Preston, what did you notice her doing in terms of skills, or like I guess I can say some of my experience, or if you want to label what you were doing, in terms of helping me, a kind of depressed donkey living in a childhood, but
Well, I mean, I think she said this out loud, but to reiterate, it was getting down to like the things of daily living. So the stuff that you need to put fuel in the tank so that you can accomplish the other tasks, which when you're depressed and you're viewing yourself as worthless may not even be intuitive that they're important for me to like stabilize my sleep and my eating and drinking out of my water bowl. And then the other thing, like maybe this wasn't said out loud, but implicitly, like taking you with the laptop to the place where you're going to focus is like it's accountability. So you're a little fairy on the shelf, so to speak, now watching, like observing the task. And so I think we call this body doubling in another episode, but really just like having someone being present in the room with you to do those things. So it's really interesting and powerful how you're able to accomplish that through even something like a virtual session.
Yeah, the like take the laptop with you, let's do it right now is amazing. And like anybody can like people don't need me to do that. Like if you can find anyone to do that for you, like a friend. You can just text them and be like, "Will you please get on a Zoom call with me and like make me take you to this place in my house and clean it up?" It's not it's not the easiest thing to build in community support, but that's like a pretty low lift if you have people in your life to build in a little community support.
I feel like even things like that explicitly, but also I know people have a lot of shame around their homes or things that they let build up. And even just being like, okay, when I'm going to talk to my friend on the phone, when I call her, I'm be like, I'm folding this laundry pile that I've let build up. And we laugh about it and keep talking. And I do it well. Like that there's ways to kind of do it as well that are less direct if people are nervous about it. And I feel like that using that kind of there's someone with me so I feel less scared, even if they're not aware that I'm doing my task I'm afraid of, like is happening.
Right. Yeah. And the like opposite action for shame is like revealing the thing that makes you ashamed, right? Like if someone sees the horrible like the shame is just the fear that people will reject you if they like know how you really are. So if you show someone the like shame filled thing and they don't reject you, it gives you good information of like actually this is not maybe so charged like I thought it was. Yeah.
The world didn't explode when I showed my sore spot when I
Exactly.
pinned the tail on Eeyore.
Okay, Preston, are you ready?
Yeah, I am ready. So I'll be in a different region of the 100-acre woods. I guess it's my mine shaft, really. It's a good way to put it, rather than my tree. So I'm not going to do an accent for this one, but I have a lot of stuff and I like all of my stuff. And it's not, the issue isn't that I don't have energy. It's just that people keep saying that I need to clean up and my in-laws are coming. The Mr. and Mrs. Gopher. And they're mad because they want me to create space for them in the guest bedroom, but the guest bedroom is where I store all my stuff. And I store stuff everywhere, but it's just like I have been needing to get rid of all this stuff, but I can't find a way to get rid of it, honestly.
Do you think you need to get rid of it, or it's just other people saying that you need to get rid of it?
I mean, to be honest, I like my stuff. It's there for a reason. It's just that other people think I need to get rid of it. And like, yeah, I'd like to have space for them, but I'd rather hold on to it if I could.
If you had to choose between like keeping your stuff and having no one come stay with you ever, or like making a little space within the stuff and being able to have people come stay with you, which one of those options sounds better?
Don't tell me with a good time there. No, keeping my stuff and no one has to visit me. Because I was honestly dreading this visit from them in the first place.
Well, what would be the impact? Like, would it damage any of your relationships if they didn't get to come stay? Like, let's
if they
really
don't
think
come,
worst case scenario.
Yeah, like I might get cut out of the will, or I might not get invited to any of the weddings or baby showers. They've pretty much said that I need to find a way to integrate with the family again. So I think this trip is like the last straw. So that's why I'm scrambling.
Yeah, they've really got you in a corner, don't they? Yeah.
Yeah.
The tail.
So, yeah. So you don't super value doing this, but you kind of need to if you're not going to like be ostracized from your entire support system. Does that sound right?
Yes, I'm being cajoled into this, and I'm doing it begrudgingly, which is why we're even on the call in the first place. They suggested I reach out to a specialist.
So what I would suggest is a lot of times, even if you have a lot of stuff, if we can kind of just like see what you have, put it into categories and store it in a more efficient way, we can make space without actually getting rid of so much stuff. You know what I mean? Like it won't be like your guest room's completely cleaned out and there's no clutter, but there could be enough room for people to stay. It's like be a little compromise between you and the family.
Okay. Well, let me show you. Let's go to the guest bedroom.
Yeah, let's take a
look.
And
then I'm gonna do this like one of these radio shows. This is me walking.
The ASMR.
Okay, so as you can see, here's the guest bed. So this is where I like to keep all of my old letters, and then these are my CVS receipts. These are all the T-shirts that I got from 5Ks that I run. These are all the kind of like the gifts and like little trinkets that I've gotten from different medical conferences that I've went to. There's some of the old candle casings. I was thinking about like kind of like remelting down the wax and reusing those. Oh, and then this is my collection of sparkling water bottle. Like I like the glass can. I guess the glass bottles because I was going to kind of like propagate some pothos in them, and I was like kind of thinking about doing a project with that, but it hasn't really turned into anything. And then this is my bundle of wires. I don't really know what all the wires are going to, but I'm sure there's some important stuff in there somewhere. Oh, and then over here's my power tools. As you can see, there's a lot of power. I'm more of a DeWalt guy. Yeah.
Same. Yeah. You got some good stuff. You've got some good stuff. I think one question. You have some stuff you're saving for projects. Like about how much of this, like if we had to put a percentage on it, about how much of the stuff that you save, like for projects, actually ends up getting to the like completion finish line?
Oh, well, I mean, that's a moving target right there. It's hard to tell when you're going to finish. I mean, to be honest, I've been pretty busy with work and I haven't finished a project in a while, but I'll get to it. that's kind of why I want to hold on to it.
Sure. I am not wanting you to get rid of anything that you don't want to get rid of. Yeah. But today, if we had to put today as like the fake finish line, like how much of your
Mm-hmm.
how much of your project stuff is like reaching completion mode?
I have another project where I want to recycle. Like, I want to be like the leader of the recycling in my mine
Mm-hmm.
shaft neighborhood. So I could
Hmm.
actually divert some of these Topo Chico bottles to that. That would work. So really, I'm not like
That would
getting
be
rid of them.
cool.
I'm just kind of repurposing them. Yeah.
I love that idea. I love that idea. Yeah.
Okay.
And as we go through the stuff, we're just going to kind of like measure your level of enthusiasm because a lot of times like enthusiasm kind of waxes and wanes. Like sometimes when you save the thing, you're really excited about the project, and then when you find the stuff later, it's like not doesn't really feel the same. And the opposite can
Mm-hmm.
also be true. So we're just going to kind of like take each item as it comes.
Honestly, I feel like I probably don't need 15 micro USB cables. I could probably narrow that down to like one or
Yeah,
two.
I think you're right. I do. I
Kind of
think you're
looking at
right.
this. I mean, because the not like, I hate to admit it, but like the bundle of wires does kind of
Okay,
piss me
time.
off.
Excellent
So
acting, though, especially considering I told you
oh,
about this 35 minutes ago before we started.
Yeah. Margaret, I was just about to make him get rid of his bundle of wires. That was going to be a big moment for
We have to
me.
leave our audience
Mhm.
on the edge. Will he, won't he?
I don't know if
But-
Gopher's a hoarder, but in this world he is.
Hey, you took that artistic license.
Yeah.
I noticed you rolled with the resistance, as they would say in motivational interviewing. I'm sure we could say that in a different word for each therapy modality, but when he got a little defensive of his piles, or felt like you were going to see it how his like family was and was kind of projecting that onto you.
I'm like guarding my piles. Like, if you put the pile.
Don't touch a damn thing. I noticed that quite a bit, and then he did kind of let his guard down and think about recycling or joining the recycling committee and donating his water bottles.
Yeah. Yeah. My goal would be just to get him to just donate the water bottles without joining the recycling committee because he has too much going on already. But but like that comes in steps. That comes in like unveiling for people where they're like, oh, maybe I'm not that attached to this project. I'm not that attached to this thing. Actually, if I'm like not holding on to it so tightly, maybe it actually doesn't even matter. Like is a dynamic that happens a lot. I would say like most of the time, unless people are like genuine clinical hoarders, in which case they need to be in like clinical hoarding therapy, not like with me,
I don't know if I'm like representing hoarding disorder perfectly here, and I don't think my intent wasn't to like have someone with hoarding disorder, but just someone who has like kind of tendencies around like a sentimental attachment to their stuff. And I think like the guest bedroom is an exaggeration, but I think a lot of us have junk drawers or places where you're like, oh, this could be cute for XYZ idea, and then you just kind of end up throwing it there, and then it grows, and you don't get around to getting rid of it, and you still get attached to the hope that you'll do something with it someday.
It's very like tied up with identity too. It can be. It's like I want to be the kind of person who would do things with these old jars, like I want to be the kind of person who has that kind of time and energy and initiative. And we are just not so often that person. And that's like a that's like a real acceptance moment to be like, yeah, theoretically I could do something with all these like spring water things, but like can and should and will are all different things.
Yeah, which I thought like it was interesting how like, you immediately adjusted to my level, and most of the focus was on evoking insight into whether or not things should even go in the first place. So like similarly to how you were triaging with Margaret of like what priority should we start working on, this wasn't necessarily like what should we start working on. Well, what needed to be worked on was apparent, but it's like what objects are even like worth discarding or not, and let's take a step back. Why is even the task of discarding objects a worthy endeavor in the first place?
Yeah. Yeah. And often, like, I have a lot of clients come to me with that and who have been told by their family members and loved ones, like, you've got to get rid of some of this shit. Like, this is out of control. And a lot of times they just need someone to say, like, I get it. I get why you're saving these things. Like, they are kind of cool. Or your reasoning, maybe it's not what I would do, but like your reasoning has logic to it. Like, you're not being crazy to save all these CVS receipts. Like, I see where you're going with this, you know? And then they usually feel, once we start decluttering, they usually feel like really attached to the first few items. And I'll be like, cool, just put it in the maybe pile, put it in the maybe pile. And about halfway through, they're like, get rid of it, get rid of it, get rid of it. I don't want any of this. Like, I hate all of this. I want it all gone. And I'm like, okay. Yeah, they just need a chance to like get through the resistance to see like, oh, it doesn't like threaten my identity as a messy person to like clean out this room. It doesn't like change who I am.
We're going to take a quick break, and then when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about the existentialism of chores and do our Q&A from our audience who have questions for you. So we will be right back. So before I go into some of the questions people had on Instagram, I wanted to ask you about one of the concepts in the book, which you kind of go into like existentialism or meaningfulness behind domestic work and domestic labor, um, or kind of how people pursue, I think, their values as well, or you locate the values with them and how these acts coincide with it. And I wonder if you could just say a little bit more of how you start those conversations with people to help them think about how chores might have meaning for them or a different meaning than they had before.
Sure, yeah. Usually I notice it in the kind of like common refrain that most of us have said in our life, which is just like, I don't want to have to do this. Like, I don't want these responsibilities to be my life. Because there's a lot there if you scratch the surface of that. There's like in ACT, we say, like, I don't want to have what I have, right? It's like, I don't want to have these responsibilities that are mine. I want something different, but you can't have something different. And so you get stuck in this suffering space. There's also, I mean, chores are suffering. They're not fun. A lot of times they're not
Period.
easy. Yeah, like there is enjoyment to find in them, but by and large, like they're boring, they're tedious, on their own. They're repetitive, and if you have any kind of awareness of like, I'm gonna die someday, which like
Which I do when I
most
do my
people
dishes.
do. Yeah. Well, but it's like, oh my God, I'm gonna die at some indeterminate time in the future. And I've spent like maybe 30% of my life folding laundry. Like, that is so terrifying that I'm like wasting my one wild and precious life just like doing chores, you know?
Mary Oliver, shout out listeners.
So yeah, shout out Mary.
Miss
So
you.
I miss, yeah, RIP. Though Mary did chores too. Mary did
She
chores too.
did. She was a
So
chore boss.
yeah, yeah. And so like there's that resistance to like the suffering and the repetitiveness and the like having what you don't want to have-ness of life. That gets played out, I think, a lot of times in chores, and that dynamic gets played out in our relationships and it gets played out in families. And there's all of the societal stuff to get into too, of like, if you if you're really uncomfy with the idea of like spending all of, your precious time doing chores, well, can I just like make someone less powerful than me do it for me, and like rationalize in my head that that's like cool and okay because they're for some reason like less smart or interesting than me. And so it's like all right for them to spend all their time doing these tedious things whereas I am like smart and like above it, like that all gets mixed in there.
Mhm.
So I think when I'm working with people, what I like to do is just try to kind of like pull out their underlying beliefs about domestic labor and who should be doing it, about suffering and what that means for them, about their non-acceptance, and try to find some route into accepting that this is a part of life in a good way. Like we get to do these things, not we have to do these things.
You go for the ultimate reframe.
I do. I
Yeah,
do.
that's
I'm like,
You say, listen, we're all
I'm
gonna
like,
die.
you're gonna die. And I bet when that happens, you'll wish that you had a little bit more time to, cook your butter chicken, which you thought was stupid at the time, but now seems like really precious.
yeah. I mean, like doing chores with people you like or like errands, I think end up being like some of my most fond moments. My dad is on this genealogy kick, and he like told us the other day that our great 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 grandfather, like 10 times removed, was one of the founders of Rhode Island.
Oh,
And I was kind of like, I get it. Like, I think it's somewhere in my blood because I do like doing chores. Yeah, I can feel that like little Puritan part of me that's like, this is the key to a meaningful life, as I'm like trudging down the alley with the trash or something. And like look at the yard and I'm like, this yard needs to be raked more thoroughly. I don't know, like you could see it as a liberating experience, which is enjoyable in itself.
for me, one of the big things that made me, I think, open to different therapy modalities was like in college, being a theology major and reading the Rule of Saint Benedict, which is like, it's this teeny tiny little red book. And it's like, let the monks have some wine, not too much, but at least some wine, everything in moderation. Make sure they're doing their sweeping, make sure they're going on their walks and talking to each other. And I was just like, yeah, let the monks have their wine and do their chores. Like, and it's like, this is a path to spiritual enlightenment and community. And it's like,
Mm-hmm.
maybe it is. Probably
Yeah,
is.
everything in moderation, including moderation.
Yeah, I love that detail about spiritual communities. And like sometime I'll tell you about like when I was thinking about this career change moment, my other route was like, maybe I'll just get a master's in divinity. Like that was the other
classic.
classic like canon event. But I love this thing in like spiritual communities where people are living together for the purpose of spiritual enlightenment, and like they're doing chores. They're doing chores.
They're
Like, yeah,
annoyed
they're
at each
praying,
other.
they're
Yeah.
meditating. They're annoyed. Yeah, my brother over there like is like mopping the floor badly, and like yeah, and like I don't want to take the trash out again,
May
and they're
God
trying to
smite
find a
his
way to like
soul.
be yeah, they're trying to find a way to like be cool about it, just like we all are on the day to day in our homes.
You can catch the next part of this on Patreon.
It's patreon.com/happypatientpod.
Question I've been asking when Preston has been passenger princessing, in my episodes, I do like when people end a podcast and say, "What is one thing you'd like people who listen to this episode to take away?" And then I'll ask a second question about where they can find you. But first up, what's one thing that you would like people to take from listening to this episode?
I think it would be to take your struggles with chores seriously without just feeling like you're doomed to fail. Like a lot of times I think when people really struggle with life skills, they get to the place where they're like, "Oh, I'm so bad at this," especially if they're in online communities. They're like, "I'm so bad at this, and there's all these other people who are bad at it, and that's just my identity. I'm just bad at it." But like go one step beyond that to like there are things that you can like take your struggle seriously, and also know that there's lots of small things you can do to make your life feel more manageable. And like those are really worth paying serious attention to.
I love that. I think that's great. Do you want to do the outro?
Time
Wait,
to
first
take it
Amanda,
away.
where can they find you? Where in this wild
Oh,
world of the
where
internet can they find
where
you?
can they find me?
And they can find you in your book. Where can't they?
Like, honestly, I hate being found, but no, I do want people to find me.
Me in your DMs like a year ago.
Um,
Hey, you're writing a book. Do you want to come on the podcast?
And I was like, oh, I haven't checked my DMs in like 3 years. Like I do not read them because I don't want to be reached. I'm trying to work on that. You you can find me on TikTok and Instagram at Nesting Your Life. You can find me on my website at www.nestingyourlife.com. I am not currently taking coaching clients, but if you want to read about the approach, you can read the book. And I am available also for like trainings and speaking engagements through my website.
And one more time, that's Tidying the Abyss by Amanda Stuckey Dodson, and it's coming out November 11th. So mark your calendars.
Boom.
Thank you, everyone, for listening. We are going to be including your questions more thoroughly from now on. So this is a mark of a changing habit that we hope to see. As always, we appreciate your feedback and your inquiry and your engagement. You guys are really what makes this whole show tick. So I just want to take a moment and say thank you for bringing us along every morning or afternoon or evening, however y'all listen to us.
Thank you guys so much, as always, for your comments, your reviews on the podcast, and then the questions that you submit on Instagram. Today, for this episode, I used the questions to do the outline of the episode, which we use for prep. And then for today, the Patreon part is the extended Q&A. The questions won't always be on the Patreon, but the questions and your guys' input always help us make the episodes as useful as possible to you. And then whatever we can't fit in the regular episode, we're putting into the bonus parts on Patreon to allow a little extra, especially for people who are really engaged and are asking questions frequently.
Yeah, just because we don't explicitly answer a question verbatim doesn't mean that we're not trying to find a way to answer it in either our exploration or like our research of the topic. So I want you to know if you do believe something, it's probably getting read and we're taking into account however we can. You can always find Margaret and I on our respective social media platforms. I'm at It's Prezro, Margaret's at Bad Art Every Day, or you can just talk to the podcast directly at How to Be Patient on Instagram, or through our parent company, Human Content, on IG and TikTok at Human Content Pods. If you want to see full episodes in video, you can find them on my YouTube channel at It's Prezro. If not, anywhere you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, our website, howtobepatientpod.com. It's all the same. You're going to be hearing me and Margaret in your ears. Thanks again for listening. Yeah, both ears, hopefully. We're your hosts, Preston Roche and Margaret Duncan. Our executive producers are me, Preston Roche, Margaret Duncan, Will Flannery, Kristen Flannery, Aaron Corney, Rob Goldman, and Shanti Brook. Our editor and engineer is Jason Portizo. Our music is by Omer Benzvi. To learn more about our program disclaimer and ethics policy, submission verification and licensing terms, and our HIPAA release terms, go to howtobepatientpod.com or reach out to us at howtobepatient@human-content.com with any questions or concerns. How to Be Patient is a Human Content production.
How to be patient.
Thank you for watching. If you want to see more of us, or if you want to see, this is Lilac, she's my cat. She's going to be waving her hand at one of the floating boxes, which will lead to more episodes. Lilac, point to the other episodes. Lilac doesn't know what the internet is, but I swear they're there. They probably exist for real. But in the meantime, I'm just going to pet Lilac, and then I'm going to go dance in the background.